Hi, welcome back to Homeschool Life. I'm Paula. I'm a homeschool mom and a writer here at Mardel. And one of the things that I love about homeschooling is the community. And that's what we're here for, is to provide a place for you to grow and learn and share and be encouraged. And so just be sure to leave a comment or ask any questions that you may have, because we really want this to be interactive. And please share your experiences. And go ahead and click on that notification and subscribe to us. That way you can keep up on all of our latest content. All right, today I'm going to talk about homeschooling those early learners in your family. So these are your little preschoolers, your pre-kindergarten, and your kindergartners. And so I want to touch base on quite a few things, but the most important thing that I want you to know is this is your time to instill a love of learning in your child. Okay, and so you want this to be a joyous time. You want this to not be stressful, and you want them to have fun while they're learning. Another thing is, if you were raised in a traditional school, homeschooling doesn't take as much time. And so homeschooling your preschooler through your kindergartner should really only take about 2 to 4 hours a day with lots of breaks in there. And you should really only be doing it about 3 days a week. All right, so there's a couple of things. Another thing that's really important to do for your preschoolers is to read. And I really believe in reading aloud to all grades, clear up through 12th grade. Reading aloud just triggers some different things in the brain, and it's just so good for learning. It's a multi-sensory thing, and it just really helps your children to achieve higher scores on tests and all kinds of things. There's all kinds of studies that go with that. All right, you're going to work on things that you're going to really be developing their fine motor skills to prepare them for first grade and on forwards. And so that's one of your focuses. You're going to do things that you could just use things around your house to teach them their colors and their shapes and their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s. But then you can also buy curriculum that is made particularly for preschoolers and pre-kindergarten and kindergartners. It's really up to you. Some things that you need to consider are learning styles. So we have created some videos all about learning styles and the different teaching styles that go into a lot of details. And so I would encourage you to watch those for more information on that. The best way to determine the learning style of your child is just through observation. Things that you're already doing with them up to this point. How do they best learn? And then choose your curriculum accordingly, or your teaching style accordingly. Another thing to consider is you want to make sure that you are providing whatever dominant hand your child is, right or left. Make sure you're teaching accordingly to that. So if they're left-handed particularly, get those left-handed scissors, get those left-handed notebooks that open the opposite way and things like that, because it can kind of hang them up, and it can cause some studying problems and some learning disabilities if they're not taught appropriately for that. And it's really easy to get those products as well. All right, and the last thing I want to talk to you about, not the last thing, before I start showing you all the products, is planners, okay? I think it's a great idea to go ahead and get started with planners now, and then you're already established and ready to go. It's really easy to get going with school with your kids and to kind of forget what you did last week or last month or 6 months ago. And so planners like these are excellent because you can just write down at this stage. You just want to write down as you go. Maybe have some mile markers, like at 9 weeks you want to be this, or at 6 months you want to be at that, but not necessarily. Just plan as you go. So you just write down each day what you've done with your child, okay? And each time you sit down to teach your child anything, whether it's how to tie their shoes or counting skills or anything, you want to involve their senses as much as possible. They're repetitive learners at this point, and you want to pay attention. And if they're really engaged in learning, or if they're really distracted and they're looking around and not paying attention, stop teaching right then. Take a break. You really only want to teach for maybe 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes at a time, and then take a good break, and then let them come back. They've got short attention spans at this point, and if you engage them before they get worn out or stressed out or bored, then they're going to have fun and they're going to look forward to school every day. So let me show you some of the products that you can be using to homeschool your preschool, kindergarten, and pre-kindergartners. So I want to show you some ways that you can do some hands-on sensory learning with your children. So this is really, really good for your preschoolers, and then even for those other grades as well. Okay, so one of the things you want to do is stickers make everything fun. And so as they achieve things, get some kind of a reward system going. And stickers are simple, they're easy, and they're inexpensive. All right, you're going to teach colors and shapes. So you can do this such as just saying like, what color is my shirt? You can do it with their toys. Let's pick up all of the red toys. You can do some things like that, but then you can reinforce it with some materials like this. So this is just a game where it's a matching game and they're going to learn their colors and their shapes. All right, another way is these dinosaur counters. So if you've got a child who's really into dinosaurs, and you can get these in bears and in families and all kinds of different shapes, they can match the colors, they can match the different kinds of dinosaurs, they can count, they can do all sorts of things with these. And so having these on hand is a great learning tool. Stringing beads is really, really good for that hand dexterity, that eye-hand coordination, the finger dexterity. And so just stringing beads, and maybe you have them string all of the purple ones or then all of the blue, or let's do a pattern. And so they're going to learn some things with stringing beads. Lacing numbers. Now they're learning their numbers. They're also, again, learning that eye-hand coordination and that finger dexterity. Scissor skills. That's a very important skill as well. So here's an activity pad where they have to cut along the lines. So they learn to cut in those curves and those circles and straight lines and squares and such as that. And make sure you get the child safety blunt tip as well. You're going to want to get something like this, just a little chalkboard slate that they can use over and over and over and over and over. This will save you time and money, and it's fun for them as well. Or perhaps a dry erase board. So this one happens to have lines on it that they can use for their handwriting, practicing writing their numbers, their letters. But you can just get a plain one as well, and they can practice their drawing and their science and all kinds of things. Of course, lined notebook paper, you're going to want to have that as well. And this one is really neat because it's a sensory one. And so the red lines actually are raised and the blue lines as well. And so your child might do better following along the lines using something like that. So you're going to want to teach art, okay? Art is expressing their creativity. It's using that parts of the brain that they need. And so you can get them some simple things like a drawing pad, and then get them the crayons that are made for their size fingers. So you can get them the jumbo crayons and the triangle ones. The triangle ones, I will tell you, are super cool because they don't roll off the table. All right, and then get them some art kits. If you're not the kind to be able to come up with things on your own, and that's fine, get them some finger paints, get them some pom-pom pictures, just all kinds of art kits that are out there that are inexpensive and really easy for your child to use, and make that a part of your school. Here is some alphabet matching flashcards. And so this is a game. It's got the A and then it's got the apples. So they're learning some phonics as well. And the good old magnetic letters and numbers. Put these on your refrigerator and let them start matching colors, and also learning how to spell and learning their numbers, 1, 2, 3s and things like that. And then it comes in this nice storage tub too, which is very nice for you. Letter formation sand tray, and then there's also a longer one that you can actually have your child be able to write out words. And this is really good for multisensory learning, for your kinesthetic kids that need to feel something. This is really, really good for them as well, but it's good for any child. Learning how to tell time. You're going to want to teach them how to tell time. So you could use something like this. This is a time activity set, and then reinforce that learning with a telling time bingo game. They have bingo games for everything, for colors and shapes and sizes and numbers and letters. So look for things like that. Okay, and then for some general teaching, how about some good manners for your child? So don't forget that. So you might want to just teach them on your own, and that's perfectly fine. Or you might want to get a book that kind of guides and leads you, and this particular one has some Bible verses with it as well. Here's an alphabet book that you could use to help teach them. And just know that as they are doing it, here's a numbers coloring book. As they are completing the pages in these particular books, they are learning at the same time. So they're having fun and learning, and sometimes they don't even realize they're learning. Here is a My First Letters. So again, it's practicing tracing those letters and learning, like this G is for grapes. And then here's another idea. Here is just a learning mat. So you put this down at mealtime and they're eating, but at the same time they're learning. So this one happens to be about numbers, and so they're counting. It's double-sided. It's easy to wipe off and clean and reuse over and over. And so again, it's a fun way for them to learn throughout the day. So those are just some ideas of things around the house that you might have, or things that you might want to ask for presents for your child, or just go and pick up yourself, because these are all very inexpensive, but they're very educational and helpful for your child. And again, they're having fun while they're learning. So next, I would like to show you some particular curriculums for you along the lines of the different teaching styles, just to give you some ideas of some things and some resources for you as well. All right, so now I would like to show you some actual curriculum that you might be interested in using. And keep in mind, some of these can cross over, but I've tried to group them the best way that I could. So we'll start with in just talking about teaching your child how to read. And so there's some different products that you can use no matter what teaching style you're in. And so Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons is a really good one. Get Ready for the Code, if you're going to use the Explode the Code curriculum, is really good for your preschoolers. Traditional Hooked on Phonics, that is a really good one as well. And then as your child is reading, pick up something like this, Bible Stories to Read. It is fun to read. And then you can even pick up a book like this one, Peter Rabbit and 11 Other Favorite Tales, and then a study guide that goes with it. And so it has just some questions to start working on those creative thinking skills and critical thinking skills in your child. And so, but if you're the type that can come up with the questions and ask them along while you're reading along to them, that's great as well. And then here's another book that you might want to try, the Tuttle Twins and the Golden Rule. And with any books, I would advise you just read like a chapter a day. And the reason that you do this is because you want to keep them hanging, and you want to keep them excited and want to know what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next. And you'll find quite quickly your kids will be saying, just one more chapter, please. And you just say no, or once in a while you might give in and say, okay, one more chapter. But after that, you just put it away and say, we have to wait until tomorrow. But I would advise reading aloud every day, even when you're not doing school. It's a fun time as a family too. So if you want to do some social studies, you can pick up something like this. This is 50 States Under God for Young Learners. And so this has hands-on activities in it for them to learn about the different states in the United States of America. Art for Children, if you want something that's more, they're going to follow along, you're going to help them to learn by, not a kit, by buying all of the different pieces and parts. Here's the paper, here's the paint, here's the glue sticks. You might want something like this. For science, you might choose The World God Made, or you might choose Christian Liberty Preschool Science. And again, these have everything in them that you need to teach your child science. Get Set for School, My First School book, along with the teacher book. A Reason for Handwriting. And here's an activity book from Christian Liberty Preschool as well. And so these are things that you can just follow along and just do a page or two each time that you're teaching your child, and let them enjoy the process of learning through some books. All right, and for math, you could always pick up Singapore Math is really good, as well as Saxon Math. And now we're getting more into like the traditional with all of these books, right? But again, it crosses over to the Charlotte Mason and the classical and even some unschooling. So Saxon Math is really good, and they have kits with everything in them, and they've got the manipulatives, so they've got those counters, and they've got all of the different pieces and parts that you need to teach Saxon Math for preschool through grade 3. Bob Jones has complete subject kits like this one over here. We've got Focus on Fives, and over here I've got Pathways for Preschool, and over here I've got Footsteps for Fours. And within these are all of the curriculum books, and they've got paper manipulatives to use for like math. And so you could just buy something like that, and then you've got everything that you need for that particular age and grade. Now, moving on to Charlotte Mason style, I would recommend that you get the Charlotte Mason Companion, and this will really help guide you in this methodology of teaching. Or you could choose the Sassafras Science Adventures, and you can just, for your younger children or your not so mature older children, you could just simply read the story to them. It is science in a storybook form. If they're mature enough, and maybe for your kindergartner, you might want to add on the guide to it as well. Or you could choose Christian Liberty's Nature Reader. And again, it's storybook form, but it's got some fill in the blank, and they're going to learn a lot about nature just from this little book. Foundations for Phonics is really good for Charlotte Mason style. Do It Carefully. This teaches skills and taking your time and doing things with a spirit of excellence, as well as ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Simply K. This is all of kindergarten in one book. And so they guide you and lead you and teach you how to teach kindergarten from this one book. Life of Fred Apples. This is math in a storybook form. Definitely Charlotte Mason, and kids that really learn well with this style really love this math curriculum. And then here's also Math Lessons for a Living Education. Again, this is written in not so much a storybook form, but it's in a more relaxed form. And so children do really well with this as well. All right, so then we're going to move on to classical. And for classical, I would suggest that you get this Classical Christian Education Made Approachable. It's just a real small book, but it will really help you. Classical education, again, we've got other videos that you can watch that are more detailed, but it's very much more formal type of school. So here is a classical phonics book to teach them their phonics from, as well as for art and handwriting. You could use the Draw Right Now series, but also you could use the prescripts from Classical Conversations. So this is a combination of learning letters and coloring, but they're also going to learn about world history. This one, they're going to learn words, and they're going to learn about drawing, and they're going to actually learn how to draw some different things. And then for Bible, you might pick up something like this: Who am I and what am I doing here? This is some Bible and science together. So that's just a little bit of what you could do for classical. For unit studies, I would suggest the following resources for you. Check these out online: 5inarow.com, as well as tapestryofgrace.com, and trailguidetolearning.com, and then heartofdakota.com. These are literature-based or history-based curriculums where your child and you will go through the entire series, and they will learn from, let's say with 5 in a row, they're going to read one story every day for 5 days in a row, but one day they're going to learn science out of it, and one day they're going to do some math out of it, and so forth. And so that is a different style as well. And then unschooling is really following your child's lead. So if they're interested in something, then you start teaching them that. Or if they're really interested in something like baseball, you teach them everything from that. So it becomes sort of like a unit study, but you're unschooling as well. All of the things at the beginning of this video you would use if you were unschooling as well. And a book that I would recommend for that would be this one, Call of the Wild and Free. And this will really speak to your heart if you are thinking of unschooling, and help you to know if that is the style that you want to teach. A few more resources for you, and then we're done. This is a really great book for all homeschoolers. This is called Lily Stays for School. And this is about a little girl who, while her other friends are going away to school each day, she gets to stay home and homeschool. And so this is a great way to introduce homeschooling to your preschooler. Teaching from Rest is a really good book to pick up, and again, you can read this again and again. The Brave Learner, the Everything Guide to Homeschooling. So this has got teaching styles, learning styles, what your child needs to know, a little bit for each grade. It's got a lot of information in this little book that is very helpful. And then lastly, what your child needs to know when. So this goes through those grade levels and really lets you know so that you don't forget something. And even if you did forget something, you can still pick it up later. So online resources, I would suggest hslda.org. Very important, so that you learn what are the laws in your particular state that you are a resident in, and that you're able to follow that. And they have lots of blog articles and lots of helps for getting started as well. KathyDuffyReviews.com. She does a great job reviewing all kinds of different curriculum and websites, so then you have a better idea. And then freedomhomeschooling.com. They offer a lot of just free homeschool resources. So it's not just handouts, it's a lot of other things as well, all together in that one website. So also check out Mardel.com for all of these products and more. We've got blog articles on there as well, and I will write up a blog article regarding this topic as well. And check out our YouTube and Facebook channels for other Homeschool Life videos that we have shot for you, where you can get even more information on whatever it is that you're interested in learning about. As always, you can shop in our stores if there's one local to you. I hope that this was helpful, that it inspires and encourages you, and that it helps you to know to make school fun for your child. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and enjoy your homeschool life.